You ready? All right. Good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to your Friday morning safety meeting. My name is John Harden. I'm in the safety department. With me today is Bill Sprague. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning.
All right, today is August 23rd, 2024. We're coming to you live from Springfield, Missouri. We're also broadcasting simultaneously through Salt Lake City, Pittston, Pennsylvania, as well as on the socials. If you're not at one of the terminals to listen to this, we hope you get a chance to this morning. If you're driving, we hope you take a chance to listen to it later this afternoon whenever you're parked safely. And hopefully we have some good information for you this morning. We've got a lot of speakers, a lot of good information coming to you. So let's jump right into a few things. I see everybody out there enjoying their breakfast. So, you know, one of my favorite parts of this is John Blansett and his crew and the job that they do over there preparing breakfast for everybody. So let's give them a round of applause. Let's thank them for all they do. Not only here, the folks in Pittston and Salt Lake City as well. So thank you for that. And let's jump right in. We've got a packed schedule today. So let's jump right out to Pittston, Pennsylvania. We've got a lot going on this week. I believe we've got Richard Brock out there this morning. Richard, are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. You know, we got a good crowd here this morning, and we got quite a bit going on this week. It's going to be a busy week up here. We got the Million Mile dinner that happened last night and 10-year dinner. So that was a really great turnout. We had several awardees. We had 1 million, 2 million, and even a 3 million miler that were recognized at that event last night. And we've got some of them sitting here around the group right now. If I could I get you to stand up, please, and be recognized if you were awarded last night? You know, we talk about safe driving, and we talk about our market conditions and the things that are going on. You know, we really need to make sure that we are, you know, acknowledging that, because that is a big piece of how we get more freight with our customers, because we are able to sell safety and service. And these folks are the epitome of what we actually do out there on the road and represent us well.
Well, good deal. Well, your fun's not over quite yet this week, right? You got some more going on up there.
That's right. We've got the picnic going on. That's going to be going on tomorrow. We've also got the Pride and Polish going on at that. The picnic's going to kick off at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we will have shuttles that are going to be shuttling folks from the terminal down to the pad. If you've got a personal vehicle and you're going to park down there, we'll have parking for all that as well. So there's going to be a lot of things going on down there. If you're around, go down, get some food, enjoy the events that are going on, and we'd be happy to have you here.
Well, outstanding. So if you're in Pennsylvania, if you're going to be in there tomorrow, you know, I highly encourage you to get out there. If you have the opportunity to take your kids, take your family, it's a great time. I've not personally been to the one in Pennsylvania, but I can tell you the one in Springfield here is outstanding.
We work hard and play hard, right, Johnny?
Absolutely.
You know, I'll finish this up by kind of telling you about the terminal updates. So everybody knows we did purchase the lot that is next to the pad down there, what used to be R&L. And we have been moving trailers down there, so that's been opening up space here on the yard. We need to do that, and we're looking at possibly going into demoing that next month. So that's going to give us a lot more space, and that building will be coming out of there, giving us more trailer parking as well. So big things coming here, lots more space. We've heard everybody talking about it. We want more space on the yard, and it makes it a safe haven for you guys to come here and park. That's all I've got.
All right, outstanding. Well, as always, if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns throughout the meeting, please get a microphone in front of them. Jump in and don't hesitate to ask. All right, Richard?
Appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you. Well, let's go out west to Salt Lake City. I believe we've got Jonathan Grice out there this morning. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're doing great. How are you?
We're doing really good. We got a nice group of new drivers in here this morning having breakfast. We got another good group coming out next week as well through orientation. So we're really excited about the growth that we're starting to see. Likewise, to what Richard was saying with Pittston, our 10, 15, and Million Mile dinner is September the 6th, Friday. So we have that going on. And then the very next day, we have our own terminal picnic out here in Salt Lake City. So hopefully we can see a good attendance there. Our Pride and Polish competition, we still are looking for a few more attendees for that. We want to see as many competitors as we can. So if you're out this way, please let your fleet manager know so we can get you signed up.
All right, good deal. Thanks for the update. Anything around the terminal you want to update us on?
Kind of along those same lines with the extra traffic we're going to see the next few weeks. Just as a reminder, the speed limit out here on the yard is 15 miles an hour. So just make sure as you're traversing through the terminal, we go super slow. Be aware and just let us know if there's any issues.
Before we bring it back here, Jonathan, I want to say thank you for taking your chief swag out there with you. Way to represent, and let's be ready for the three-peat.
Got to keep it real.
All right. Well, thank you, Jonathan. Well, as always, if there's any questions, comments, or concerns, please jump in and get the mic in front of somebody. All right.
Will do. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you. Well, let's come right back here to Springfield, Missouri. Good morning, everybody. I think we won today on the enthusiasm. So great job right here. So again, my name is John Harden. I'm in the safety department. We're located up here in the Z building on the main level, not too far from Success Leasing. Most of you know where Success Leasing is. You know, it's always welcome and encouraged for you guys to stop by if you have any questions, you know, not only for us, but anybody in the building. This badge will get you in. If you're new here, this badge will get you in anywhere you need to be. Please make an effort while you're here to talk with your payroll associate, your road assist advisor, your fleet manager especially. That's your lifeline for your business if you're new here at Prime. So I see a few yellow vests here. So if this is your first week at Prime, if you're here or any of the other two terminals in Pittston or Salt Lake City, this is your first week, please stand up and let us welcome you to the Prime family. Well, we appreciate your decision to choose Prime, you know, and vice versa. We chose you. We get a lot of applications through here every week, and we choose the best of the best. So if you're sitting here, if you're out there in a Prime tractor, you are the best of the best. We appreciate you being here. And again, there's no question you can't ask. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find somebody that does.
Let's go right on to inspections. What do you say? I know we got a lot of speakers today. So each week we want to cover how many inspections we've had. This week there was 147 total, 86 of those clean for a 58% pass rate. Give yourselves a round of applause. We've had the Highway Patrol up here and say that the average carrier clean rate is about 40%, but we like to be better, right? And 58% is not good enough. I'll tell you right now. There was a lot of inspections this week, overweights. I mean, come on, we need to know what our weights are. For one, I don't want you getting an overweight ticket because you work too hard for your money to give $1 of it back. You're out here to work and send that money home. Let's make sure we know what our weights are so we're not giving that money back to municipalities. Let them find it a different way, not out of your pocket. We had a few different violations for paperwork not being ordered. We had a few different ones for just minor equipment violations. Anytime that we get these inspection violations, it goes on our CSA score. Richard alluded to it up there that we have to do what we can safety-wise to provide our brand. When we're out there and we're talking to different companies as far as to get our name out there to try to haul their freight, they're going to look at our safety score. And if our safety score is not acceptable to them or what they feel is too high, they're going to do what? They're going to turn around and give that freight to somebody else. We're greedy. We want every bit of it. And to do that, we have to have a put out there to them. So we need to work on this safety score as a carrier. So that way, when they're comparing us to another company, they see that we're better because we have a better safety score. It's all about compliance. Make sure you're wearing your seatbelt. Make sure you're doing good pre-trips. Make sure that if you know that there's going to be a scale coming up, be looking into your Atlas. I want you to stop and take a 30-minute break, look your equipment over. Anything can go out and happen in transit. But if you pull over and take a 30-minute break first, look that equipment over, now you're ready to go through and get paid for a clean inspection. We pay you for your time here if you get a clean inspection with no violations. Lease operator is going to get $100. The company driver is going to get $25. Use those scales as an ATM. Know everything's in working order and go through. As far as scale bypasses, if it's conflicting, what should we do? Go in, err on the side of caution. If the sign that they put out to you and your in-cab signal conflict, let's err on the side of caution, because one of the #1 violations we get is traffic control device because we went through that scale without stopping. Let's not do it. Let's err on the side of caution and protect ourselves from those CSA points. That's all I've got on inspections right now. I want to bring Roy Romo up here. We talked about as far as we got the truck driving championship, I don't think we've talked about it yet. We'll cover it, but yesterday and today, we've got 2 drivers that are participating in the National Truck Driving Championship in Indiana. First of all, let's give them a round of applause. They're Dwayne Grimm and Buddy Gray. Buddy Gray, he drove yesterday, so he's done. He gets to relax. Dwayne's got to drive today. He don't get to relax yet. He's got to stay locked in. Dave sent us a message and said he's ready to go. I don't know if he's beating his head on the wall to get pumped up or what, but he said he is pumped and ready. All right, team table back here saying the same thing. I think this is Dwayne's 6th time at being at Nationals. Do we know how many times Buddy's been?
First.
This is his first time. Great. So always representing Prime well, and it'll start here. We'll go through that. But I wanted to bring Roy up because, Roy, you've been twice, correct, to Nationals? And I want you to kind of share with the group here, what are they expecting out there today? So when Dwayne gets ready to drive, what's his day looking like at Nationals?
First off, man, they put you in like a little room off to the side. You don't really get to watch the other competitors out there compete. When you do go out there, you got somebody that's taking records of what you're doing, all your events that you do. They follow you around to making sure you climbing in that truck with 3 points of contact, climbing out of that truck with 3 points of contact. You're wearing your seatbelt, and you have 6 challenges that you have to try to negotiate. But that's just the skills part. Yesterday, they had to do what 50-question test on rules and regulations, the industry, just basic knowledge of safety, and then you have a pre-trip examination where you actually have to go and in 9 minutes you have to go and inspect a truck and trailer for 10 defects that they put on those trucks and trailers. You got 9 minutes to do this and to get as many as you can. It all starts right here at Prime. If you want to go to Nationals, you have to compete at state. You have to win at state to go to Nationals. And it starts right here at Prime in Springfield at the picnic on Friday, next Friday. You come out here. If you got a CDL, you're more than welcome to come out here and try out. Top 20, I believe, are going to go to state. We have 2 states we compete in now, Missouri and Utah. And yeah, I won in both.
That's what I want to bring you up there for, Roy. I wanted you to just kind of know what to expect, know how to get there, and also want to bring Stan up. Stan Casterke's going to come up for a second. Thank you, Roy. Let's give Roy a round of applause.
Thank you, Roy.
Stan's going to kind of go through what they're going to experience next week when we get everybody here to hopefully compete and take some more to state.
Yes, absolutely. So the exciting thing about this year, Buddy Gray competed in Utah, won in Utah to be able to go to Nationals. So we're very proud of that. This last year was our 2nd time competing in Utah's TDC. And so we're going to continue to do that. So to qualify to go to state, like Roy was talking about, you have to compete at the Prime Picnic Friday night. We're going to start probably around 5:30. We'll have the course set up Friday morning. To be able to register for it, you can go on your app, on your driver app, and if you sign up for the picnic for next Saturday, it's going to ask you if you want to compete in the truck driving competition on Friday night. So you can check that. We are also, Trish Brewer is going to be out on the training pad. We're going to do all of this at the north end of the training pad next Friday evening. She's going to be out there doing sign-ups. So if you don't know if you're going to be in town next weekend, you can wait and then sign up there at the pad. I think we're starting sign-ups at 4 o'clock next week out on the training pad.
It's such a great time. They have all kinds of food. They've got tents set up, and come out, bring your kids if you're going to be in the area, and sign up and compete. You never know until you get out there and try it yourself. For one, you know, these guys and girls that go out and do it, I watch some of them get pretty locked in, and some of them just really enjoy it. So I think we have a question right over here.
So in the app, what part of the app is it on? Because on my app, it's not on there for me to pre-register.
Charles,
Okay, Charles showed me.
it's in the news section of the app.
Okay,
Okay.
that way somebody, if they're trying to do it, they know what they're looking for.
You always ask
Thank you.
great questions.
You know I'm
Thank
always
you
gonna
for
call. I'm
that.
gonna terrorize.
You got
you
my back
anyway.
all the time.
Always.
so.
Okay, so Charles, you're saying move it more towards the top? Okay, we'll work on that today, so that way we can get people to sign up. Thank you, Stan.
So yeah, we talked about the other picnics that are happening this weekend and next weekend, but we get to have fun too down here. If you've not been, if you've not signed up, if you have a CDL, like Bill said, come out and participate. And, I'd also like to challenge any of the fleet managers or in-house associates out there listening this morning to come out and support your drivers, support everybody that's coming out there. It's a lot of fun to watch. I've been able to experience the past couple of years since moving to safety, and it's a pretty cool thing to experience. So
We keep it rolling pretty smooth. We got a pretty good system down, and it's just really neat to see all the camaraderie of the different drivers and cheering each other on. And even though it's a competition, they still want each other to do the best. So it's an awesome experience.
Shout out to Dave White for being there with the boys, and
Absolutely.
also for Anthony Eck, who's working, and Remy Braun as well, who's working the event there in
Awesome.
Indianapolis.
Yeah, they donate a lot of their time to it. So it's awesome that they can be there to help the drivers out. So who do we got next?
all right, well, let's get right into our speakers this morning. We're going to bring up Alicia Scarlett from our log department. So good morning, Alicia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I know that they touched on the inspection, so that's kind of what I'm going to go with. So this week we had a lot of inspections that had people docked for log violations. So your log violations are any time that you go over any of your clocks, they are by the second. So if you go over by 1 second, you will get a log point. You only get one log point per 24 hours. So if you violate the clock multiple times, you still just get a point. But that does not mean to keep going over your clock. Some ways to prevent these points from happening would be to pay attention to the alerts on your Qualcomm. It tells you when you're getting short on time. So make sure that the volume is up on the Qualcomm. Anytime that you stop driving, go ahead and manually switch out of drive, go into on duty, off duty, whichever one, just get yourself out of drive. Whenever you're doing a split break, so we get a lot of 14-hour violations, and the most time it's because of split breaks. The split breaks, the larger portion needs to be consecutively logged in sleeper. Most of the time, you have to click the split break button to activate a split break, but sometimes Qualcomm just automatically sets you up for one, so just kind of pay attention. If you see a pause in your clock, that means later you need to do 7 to 8 hours in sleeper. Your log points can be found in the Prime app, or you can call us and we can tell you where you're at. They do fall off every 6 months. So if you get one today, 6 months from today, it won't be there. You will hear from us about your log points weekly if you have 11 to 19 points. So you'll get a message from your log advisor. We let you know and then kind of tell you, hey, we're watching. If you get 20 plus, you not only hear from us, you will have to be routed into a class and have a counsel with your log advisor. You could also possibly have a counsel with safety depending on if you continue to trend upward. So does anyone have any questions about log violations or no? Okay.
Thank you so much. And she brought up log points and violations once again, goes towards that CSA we talked about before. So as a company, we've got to work to get that number down as well. We have another question.
When you get a log violation, I got my very first one in 13 years, and
Shame.
I know, I was crying and everything, but what I did is I wound up calling logs, and she told me how to fix it, and she was able to kind of put the explanation in as to why and what happened, and that way, when you go, let's say you get a inspection, it's already done. The officer can see it. That because I was 14 minutes over and I just couldn't get over in Atlanta at 5 o'clock.
They are such a
So-
great resource, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they're
I
there
mean, I
to
was-
help you. They are
yeah,
a
so
wonderful support
they
staff.
need-
So
If you get one, you need to get a hold of your log advisor.
absolutely. And if you ever have questions, ask them first before we violate something to make sure that they can walk you through what we need to do it the right way. So thank you.
Yeah, that's the key right there, what Bill said. We want to get out in front of the issue. So be proactive, just like if you're going into fuel and you're going to need PC, don't get fuel, get everything done and then call and be like, I need it right now. Call as you're pulling in. You're going to need it. So save yourself some time, some headache, and just be proactive about these things. So, well, we appreciate you coming up here and speaking. I think she's going to hang around if anybody has any other questions for logs here. If not, they're located in the Plaza building right there behind driver lineup. So if you're here and have something come up, feel free to stop by there and talk to them. So next, we're going to bring up Colby, our driver health and fitness. And Rachel, are you coming up as well?
Go anywhere.
Come on.
Hey, good morning, John. How are you? Good morning, everybody. So I'm Colby, the driver health and fitness. This is Rachel, our dietitian.
Good morning.
So every week we're always on talking about something, health tips. We can sometimes talk about exercise, sometimes talk about nutritional things. What did we talk about last week?
So
What was
last week we talked about the difference between complex carbs and simple carbs and how to find those on your label and what to look for on your nutrition label, and then what the health differences are, because carbs are kind of like a lot of people are like concerned about carbs right now, but there are a lot of health benefits to complex carbs, and those are the ones that we can try to focus on. And then we talked about the ones that are a little bit better, like for more truck friendly.
Okay, awesome. So you can see that on our previous episode. So this week we're going to talk about and if Brian, if you can put it up there for us, talk about benefits of balance training. It's kind of, well, that's not it. There you go. But what we can look at is some of the things we'll talk about balance training. We always talk about exercise and different things, of course, but in balance training, something we can do in a truck, right? So you can do it in your truck, different ways. Some of the benefits could be obviously improving balance. It could be improving like core strength, things like that. A couple of things it can, there's some things right there. It can improve your reaction time. It can speed up recovery time. So if we have like maybe a small injury, maybe circulation issues, it can help with that. Some other things can help, obviously preventing falls, the muscle strength and joint support, maybe improve coordination, and also increasing confidence. So you may have confidence it's crazy to think, finishing summer, getting into cold weather, preventing falls and things like that. That could also improve and increase your confidence getting out of the truck, in the truck, all kinds of things. So we always want to give you an action plan. So the next slide we have is maybe what are some of those things? So Bill, John, you want to come up here and do some things? Yeah, come on. So I'm going to bring you guys up here because we're always going to be vulnerable together, is just talk about different things. So for instance, this is an example. Number one is like toe stands. So you can do 20, 30 seconds. We're not going to compete. I know you'll beat me, but it's literally just lifting your heels. Go ahead and get on the balls of your feet and just standing 20, 30 seconds. Okay. So that's one example of it. You can do it in a truck. Now try it single leg. Yeah, I'm doing it right now. So the idea is, yeah, but the whole point is this, right? Is we can create things. You can push each other. It's just creating this environment. The next one will be like tandem stand. So like a sobriety test, putting one foot in front of the other and trying to hold it like that. Yeah, that was way too comfortable. Oh, okay, that's it. You used to administer it. Yeah. So the idea is the same thing though. If you went eyes closed, that would change it. So that kind of gives you scales. So one foot in front of the other. If you close your eyes, that changes that too. I'm not going to push you. Don't worry. Yeah. Your caffeine's making you unbalanced. So some other things is the third one would be like a plank hold. This would be your stance as a plank. You don't have to do it, but if you choose to do it, a plank. I know you're the king of plank at Prime. So that you do. Well, you're welcome to do it back here like the workout I did. So a plank would be, go ahead and do it, guys. So if you did a plank, okay, you can literally hold a plank. Oh, man. All right. Yeah, there you go. So there's one example. If you did it, another version is if you want a side plank. Bill, go on the side. So like left it. Yep, there you go. So this way to add intensity to it. Okay. So the third one is an example is this, right? So if you went opposite arm, opposite leg. So lift right arm, right, left. Yep. Go ahead, Rachel. Show him. Yes. Yes. Go ahead, Bill. Yeah. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Well, you're doing same side. Do the opposite. That's coordination, Bill. See? Yeah, there you go. Okay. So there's an example of one. The other, what you'll know about Bill quickly is, Bill, how long can you hold the plank for? Like 15, 16 minutes? Yeah, that's a long time. So here's an example of a couple of things. Bill's going to do the rest of the, should like this. Right. And that's the last one I just said is like you get single leg balance. If you're doing standing on one leg, obviously if you're standing on one leg, you can do things like lifting your arms over your head would be another way, putting your feet out around you, different things like that. Okay. So John, I don't know if he's going to stop. So this is all I had. Anybody have any questions about balance training as they do fun things back there? Anybody do anything like that? Balance training. Again, the whole idea is it's not something that's going to like increase your heart rate a ton. It's just a way to do a lot of the benefits of things. That's right. So they're already clapping for you. That's all I got. Anything? Yeah, that's a good point. She's the entertainment. All right, that's all I got.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Colby or Rachel? There's a reason why I wasn't back there doing those things. So
Didn't want to embarrass us.
yeah, that was it. So, all right. Well, thank you for that information. And those are great exercises to do. And from the 4 seconds that I tried them, it sounds like I need to do them more often. So
If you do planks, I'm telling you, if you'll start small and work yourself up, you'll be surprised how many calories you'll burn from just planking. Your whole body will start sweating. Try it. Look at the 30-day plank challenge. You can definitely do that around your truck. It's really good exercise.
all right, well, let's jump right into our next speaker here. We're going to bring up our maintenance and shop department here, Doug Tam and Trent Ferris. You know, I do want to mention, I'm sure that they're going to touch on it, but we do have a CVSA brake check week coming up. Good morning.
Thank you. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, so the word of the week this week for maintenance is going to be brakes, because this upcoming week is the CVSA annual brake safety week. So all week long, there's going to be a pretty good chance you're going to get pulled off the side of the road somewhere into a weigh station and inspected. And they're going to look over the brakes on your truck and trailer. The focus this year is going to be the pads. They're going to look at the pad linings and make sure there's no cracks in those pads and make sure the depth is above the minimums. So I want to go over all that with you all. First of all, I got some slides that I want to show up here. So these slides are going to be on our equipment. I took these pictures yesterday on trucks and trailers here on the yard. First of all, this is a drive axle off of drum brakes off of a drive axle. So most of you are going to see drum brakes on your drive axles. That's what we have on most of our trucks still. That's how we spec them. Minimum on drum brakes is 1/4 inch. So what you're measuring there, if you see the picture on the screen, the little blue arrow at the very center of the pads, the very top, that's where you want to measure. You do not want to measure down there on the ends. Those ends are going to wear down a little bit faster, and that's not the area that DOT is going to look at. If we go to the next slide, I'm going to show you disc brakes. And these disc brakes are off of one of our drive axles on one of the trucks that are spec'd with disc brakes. This is pretty rare. This is something that's probably only going to pop up on owner-operator trucks that have paid a little bit extra for those disc brakes. But again, that blue arrow right there is the area that you're going to measure. And on disc brakes, the minimum is 1/8 of an inch. Rule of thumb here to grab something to check them really easily is a nickel. But a nickel is actually a little bit thinner than 1/8 of an inch. So you're going to put the nickel on there and you're going to see a little bit bigger of a gap than the nickel creates. If it's down to where the nickel is or less than that left, then we're going to need to get those brakes changed. Go on to the next slide. This one is going to be brakes off of a steer axle. So most of our trucks are going to have disc brakes on the steer axle. We spec them that way to give you guys a smoother ride. And they're a little bit harder to check. This picture isn't the best. The lighting's not the greatest, but between those two arrows on the disc brakes on the steer axle is the pad thickness that you want to check. Again, that's 1/8 of an inch minimum. And then the last slide here is going to show you trailer brakes. So this came off of one of our trailers. I've got 2 different blue arrows. You can actually see both pads on the discs on your trailers. So look those over, make sure there's no cracks anywhere on any of those pads. On your tractor, disc brakes will typically go around 250 to 300,000 miles. So that's going to be the area that you're going to want to start paying close attention here when you get up to around 200, 250. Keep an eye on those brakes and get them in when they start getting low. You know, it's a good idea to keep an eye on them for a lot of reasons, but if you don't get those pads changed out in time, pads are pretty cheap. If we wind up grinding down into the caliper, you're looking at way more money to get all those components replaced. And then another thing that I want to point out here, something that we overlook a lot, but if you see rust on the surface of the rotor or on the inside of the drum, that's an indicator that that pad is not making contact with that surface, and that's a big issue that we need to address. So Any questions on any of that before we go over to Doug? All right, I'll pass it over.
All right, keep an eye on for pads wearing uneven rates as well. Both pads should wear at the same rate, or you might have a caliper locked up. So keep that in mind. I'm Doug Tam. I have a few giveaways. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, maybe to these new folks. I'm gonna give you one of you gentlemen in Airgate or Trent Will, our pro maintenance director here. What air pressure should you be running in your steer tires and your drive tires? Either one of you two?
Anyone know? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you know.
Roy, you're not getting anything.
100
You
PSI.
don't give that. Stan, get away from that table.
100 PSI was right.
110 PSI in the steer tires and 100 in the drive tires. And something I want to point out, I have a lot of conversations with drivers. Your TPMS system inside your truck, when you start up your truck in the morning and start your pre-trip inspection, or in the evening before you have driven, cold PSI. Sometimes I talk to operators and they say, well, it's at 80, it's beeping at me, and once I get going, it'll air itself up. It is not airing itself up. It's the equivalent of sticking a basketball in a shade or in the sun. If you stick it in the sun, it's going to inflate that basketball. If it's in the shade, it'll stay underinflated, right? Everybody knows that reference. So make sure you're thinking about cold PSI, not once the truck warms up. If you're 5 PSI low across all your tires, you could be losing up to 2% in fuel mileage. So make sure you pay attention to that. And if that system's beeping at you, don't just push the button, do something about it. And that's why I have this. This is a simple airline you can hook up to your glad hand on your truck. Your truck holds typically is putting out 120 PSI, so plenty of air pressure to air your tires up. It's $27. It's a lot cheaper than going to a truck stop, or even here in the tire bay. We charge $12 to air your tires up. We have to account for that labor. So go by the store, get your glad hand seal. But my next question is going to be, what makes your tire illegal on PSI, where you would get shut down? Anybody?
So below this point, you are DOT out of service.
Yeah.
80 pounds per square inch.
You got it. Below 80 PSI, you are legally flat. Thank you.
And something I read this morning, you look at the maximum PSI on your sidewall, and if it's below half of that, which is 60 PSI or lower, that will shut you down right then. So make sure you take care of your tires. It'll help save you some fuel and tire wear. So we want to get the most out of every tire we can. But that's really all I have, unless someone has questions for me or us.
What are we doing about these trailers now that are getting leaks on the automatic air fillers, where those little half moon clips with the little dome on them, they're rubbing through? I've done 3 trailers now where I've had to fix where they're leaking at, where those clips go on some of the new trailers. You guys had that problem?
I don't think I've heard of it yet, but if you want to come to the side over here, let's have a sidebar. Yep, any information is good information. We will, that's a reminder on the inflation light, make sure you adjust your mirrors to where you can see the light. If it comes on, I addressed some of this last week, get pulled over immediately and make sure you don't have a flat tire. It'll catch on fire and we'll lose the trailer. So make sure you pay attention to those inflation lights and trust them. That's all I have. Thank you for everything you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. So, yesterday we sent out on the weekly safety staple, we sent a fleet message out to all vehicles about the upcoming CVSA brake check week. So, please, if you haven't already done so, if you don't already have a routine or a system where you've got everything that you'll need, if you're pulled over by that officer, the first thing they're going to ask for, license, registration. Make sure you've got a paper logbook in your tractor. That's one that's pretty low-hanging fruit that we see violations for. So if you're here on the terminal, one of the other terminals, please pick those up if you don't already have them. But just be prepared. Just have it in your mind. Next week, I'm likely going to get pulled in for an inspection because of brake check week. So just be prepared so you're not fumbling around for everything. You know where everything's at. Have everything in order. That's going to impress the officer.
I tell you, good information. Let's move on to our next speaker. Keep it rolling. Connor Bacon, one of our fleet managers, is going to come up and go over new bill of lading scanning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, so new bill of lading scanning. This has to do with our live loaded call. So anytime that we're doing a live loaded call now, we do want you guys to scan the bills. So whenever you guys do get your bills at the shipper, just like always, We're wanting to look at everything we have, make sure we have the correct address on our bills, make sure we have all the correct POs, the correct temperature, and the seals match, trailer matches and everything. And then after that, we do want you to scan on your app. It should be right whenever you pull up on the app. There should be a pink button that you guys press. So just press that pink button and then scan your bills. And then I'm told that it isn't going to be there always. It's soon going to move to the stop-off screen. And from what I'm told, if you go to the stop-off screen, it kind of fills in your information for you automatically anyway. So it's much easier for you guys to do that if you guys will go to that stop-off screen. So this is not a substitute for checking your bills. We want to make sure we're still going over everything, but it does allow for the fleet managers and the depart call people to be able to look at your bills whenever they are doing the live loaded call. So make sure we're doing that and then scan your bills, make sure to double check everything, then call into live loaded call just like you always do. It's not a substitute at all. So make sure we're doing that. And then after you do your live loaded call, this does not go to scanning your bills at the end of your trip like always. So we still do need to scan our bills under TransFlow whenever you're empty, whenever you have signed bills. It is not a substitute for that either. So that's pretty much it. So.
All right. Does anybody have any questions real quick about the new bill of lading scanning process? Hang on just one second.
No, Connor, this is really not about that particular topic, but I'd rather talk about you and how long have you been here as a fleet manager and how many trucks are on your board, and just tell us a little bit about how this has been going for you.
Okay, so my name is Connor Bacon. I have been a fleet manager here for 10 years now. So I started here in Springfield, and then I actually moved out to Pennsylvania and worked out of the Pennsylvania terminal for 5 years before moving back. I currently have about 122 trucks on my fleet. So a lot of trucks, very busy, but always looking for good drivers. So that's about it.
So are you on the lease side or the company side?
I am on the lease side. So I do have lease operators. Yep.
All right. Well, good deal. Well, we appreciate you coming up here and talking. And I know this is the busiest morning of the week for you. So we'll let you get back to it, help your drivers out. And thank you for coming down. This is his first time down at the meeting. You did a great job.
Thanks, guys.
What's funny is I asked him if he was nervous about speaking. He said, no, I'm nervous because I've been away from my fleet for 45 minutes. So we'll let him get back at it. So thanks for coming down, Connor.
All right. So we're going to jump into payroll, and payroll is going to talk a little bit about some scanning process as well. So we've got Amanda and Audra from payroll this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Like John said, my name is Amanda and this is Audra. If any of you have ever watched a meeting where Audra is speaking, just so you know, she's a rock star. So I'm going to do my best. I've had 3 cups of coffee and I don't think it's enough. But yeah,
You can talk that fast.
yeah, true. Gotta grow. Come on. So we wanted to take a second, since Connor talked about shipper docs, to remind everyone about trip scanning. So if you want to get paid, everybody likes to get paid, right? You still have to scan in your trip document paperwork. Before you do that though, when you drop or deliver your load, you have to fill out your depart macro. You can do that from the Prime mobile app or from the Qualcomm. And I did want to show you guys a reminder on entering lumper fees. This is a really important step to entering your depart macro. And it guarantees that we can get to the customer timely so we can get that lumper fee billed to them and then paid back to you or reimbursed to you. So on the Prime mobile app side, you can see where you say, yes, you did pay for unloading. Then you put the dollar amount. It does have to have the decimal with the 2 decimal places. So if you did pay 45 cents, you want to enter 45 cents on that. We don't want to lose any money. And then you'll fill out the rest of your depart macro and you'll submit it as normal. On the Qualcomm side, it's very similar. You just put Y. Yes, you did pay, followed by the dollar amount. And then you did not use receiver or driver unload, so you can leave that blank. And then you're going to submit it. So just a reminder, we do need that done. So that way we can pass it on to sales, and then sales can get with billing so it can get billed timely. So we don't want to miss that. If you do use ComData Lumber Pay, which is awesome, RoadSync, UChain, Capstone, thank you. The main one, Capstone. If you use those, the receipt does come to us automatically as long as you pay using the link, but you still have to enter it in your depart macro. So even though they're company funds, it still is going to charge you and you'll be reimbursed, but we do need to know about it. So just make sure that you're filling that out timely. And then don't forget to scan in, which Audra is going to talk about.
Yes, so definitely
That is all lumpers. Make sure you for sure put unloading in the depart call. But then what about all the other things, right? We've got late fees sometimes, reschedule, restack, market fees, pallet fees, overtime fees, any other fees I'm missing? Whatever, miscellaneous fees sometimes. What about those? So we see a lot of people put in like their pallet receipt at the O1 and basically trying to make sure that we know it's for unloading. Please do not do that. So what happens when you guys put in a late fee, a pallet receipt, anything to indicate that it's unloading when it's really not unloading, is it really holds up the process of getting those things over to our billing department and getting it invoiced, so then it's delayed. So only put in unloading in your depart macro. Now, still absolutely, very important, absolutely make sure, do your due diligence and always get a receipt. Every single customer requires a receipt, obviously, because we have to prove that we paid for this, and this is why they need to be invoiced for it, and then we need to pay you back for it. Now, the good news is most of these things are on the Prime app. So there is like a pallet receipt that you can scan in. There is a category for late fee and all of those other things. So just make sure you're not putting those in the depart macro.
Yep. Yeah, so just a reminder, if you have any kind of late fees, overtime, pallet fees, if you happen to get it at night and the night fleet manager, dispatcher doesn't know about it, just make sure you do follow up with your fleet manager so that way they can make sure that you were issued the correct PO type on that. So that's another backup for us to know that you paid for it. So scanning in the receipt, getting the PO, letting them know that you paid for it. That's what we need you to do. And then we'll take the rest from there. So just a reminder, this is the easiest question of the day, I hope. How long do you have to scan in your documents? When would we like you to scan them in? Within how many hours? 72?
We know you've got the answer, ma'am. We know it. 12, but I also have another question. We've got some receivers that don't use Capstone or some of the bigger ones. So what they do is they send me a text message to my phone. Now, my payroll lady is Tyler, and she actually had to walk me through how to do my text message to be able to scan it on my app as a lumper receipt. Can you guys maybe talk a little bit about, because I'm old, I had no idea how to do it. She actually had to walk me through it. So now when he gets unloaded at night, he makes him do it to my phone because he doesn't do it, I do it.
Yeah.
So
No.
if that's something maybe you guys can.
Yeah,
touch
absolutely.
base
Thank you
on?
for bringing that up. Yeah, a lot of times nowadays, the receivers or the lumper services will text you a link or they'll email it to you. So we do have a way to upload those now too. You'll just take a screenshot with your phone and then it'll save it automatically to your camera roll. You'll go back into trip documents. You'll click lumper receipt like you normally would. When it goes to the capture screen where you're going to click your camera button, to the left of that button, there's a little image icon. If you click that, it will automatically pull up your camera roll and then you can upload that screenshot. Now, if you can't remember when the time comes, we actually have a message we can send you that walks you through it too. So just shoot a message to your payroll advisor and then we can let you know too.
And on some of those, please make sure you actually pull up the full receipt, because what sometimes happens is you can click the link and it'll kind of give you snippets. So it'll show that you paid it. It'll give you snippets. So you screenshot that, but that's actually not the full information that we need. You normally have to go in and say view document or download document or receipt or something like that and actually see all of the full information. So those are also the receipts that we would need.
Yeah, great question. Does anybody else have another question for us? No. Okay. Well, just a reminder, if you can, try to scan in all your trips within 48 hours. That helps us get it to the customer timely, helps us make sure that you're paid timely. Hopefully everybody's happy. We can get paid and have a good Friday. And then just remember, shipper documents is for the live depart group. That only goes to them. Trip documents goes to payroll. So you do need to do your shipper documents when you first pick up the load. You need to scan in those bills, call your live depart. And then when you need to get paid, when you need to drop the load, deliver it, then you're going to scan under trip documents. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate all that you guys do for us. And thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Man, they do a great job. It's hard to follow that.
We need to start
back
having
up
them
here.
run the Friday morning safety meeting.
I think we do, you know, and I'm going to kind of jump a little bit ahead before we bring up our next speaker this morning, but there's been a lot of talk about scanning in the Prime app. And if you're not 100% familiar with the Prime app, which would be me, right? I can fumble my way through it a little bit, but if you're here in the terminal in Springfield, we've got Richard and Brianne sitting right over here that they got their hands up. Please come see them after the meeting's over. If you're in Pennsylvania or Utah at one of the terminals, go find the guy with the microphone and ask them who you need to talk to as far as getting your questions answered on the Prime app. That's a lifeline in here to your business, as you just heard, as far as scanning in bills, scanning in lumper receipts, and a number of other things. All right, we ready to go on?
Last one.
All right, well, we're going to go to our sales side here. We're going to bring up Garrett Dowdy. Good morning, Garrett.
Hey, good morning, John. Thank you. Hey, good morning, all of you that are here, other locations, watching online, whatever. You know, for those of you that are new, welcome to Prime. We've got a lot of folks that have worked here a long time, and you know, they asked me to talk about operations a little bit this morning, and you know, really as a sales guy, why would I be talking about operations? And the reason is it's no different than service. When we say all of us are in the service business and we're all in the safety business, you know, we're all in the sales business as well. So all of that is part of operations. We always say the best thing we have to sell is the service that we put out there. And really, I mean, what does that mean? You know, we've kind of been in a down market here for a couple of years. You guys have felt it. We can't control the market. What we can control is how we react to the market. And one thing that we've been able to do is hold our rates up above where some of these folks are that've kind of been in a free fall, you know, and downward motion of the rates. And the reason is because the service and the relationships we have with these customers. And you really, you know, when these guys talk, when you hear a lot of things usually in these meetings about preventative maintenance. And I just kind of want to talk about, kind of take another angle on that. And that's proactive communication. I get emails all day long from people asking us if we're going to do what we told them we would do. I mean, it's Friday. We'll have loads that we've got pickup appointments set for Tuesday morning. We'll get an email this morning with the list of loads. Are you still going to be there, you know, for your appointments Tuesday morning? We got to look up the load, confirm that we've got the appointment in the system. Yes, we'll be there. Get another email this afternoon from somebody. It'll have an attachment, all these loads on there. Could you go through and confirm that all these loads? This will continue on and on. We'll get, you know, all this communication, wanting to know if we're going to do what we said we were going to do. Why do you think that's happening? It's happening because the other folks aren't doing what they said they were going to do. And these folks are having to babysit them and look over their shoulder all the time to make sure that they're going to do it. Prime runs at about 98 to 99% on time. So Prime's doing what we said we were going to do, right? But communication is key. If something's not going right, or you're going to miss a pickup or something goes wrong, let's make sure we let people know. That's half the battle right there. So that goes a long way. You know, Steve talks all the time about price versus cost. We may not be the lowest price out there, but we're the lowest cost. Well, what does that mean? I mean, the lowest cost means if the product is on the shelf for a customer in a store, then that means something. If a customer goes in there and the product's not there, that costs money. That costs money and lost sales. And we feel like that ties right back to the service and the communication that we provide. So anyway, I wanted to thank you guys. Let's stay ahead of it. We feel like this market's starting to turn around a little bit, and we're certainly well positioned. Those of us that have been here a long time, we've seen these things cycle. You know, we'll have COVID, demand was through the roof. And then I call what's kind of happened the last couple of years a COVID whiplash. You know, we kind of had the reverse of that, but it's gonna find some stable ground here. We feel it coming back, and we're well positioned. Thank you guys for what you do.
Appreciate it, Garrett. And he hit the nail right on the head there. I mean, that's all we sell to our customers is service. So we appreciate that insight, Garrett. You want our military?
I would. I'm going to start with something first. We got time?
I think so.
So This will be the 8th year. I want to plug this a little bit because it's pretty near and dear to my heart. So on September 21st this year, Prime Associates will once again be participating in what's called the Springfield Area 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb. So who remembers where they were on 9/11? Here's a good question. How many remember how many firefighters went in the building and never came back out? That number is 343. The reason I bring that number up is because this stair climb on September 21st is an honor to those 343 souls that went in to save others. Now, when I say we participate, every single one of us that do this event is given a lanyard, just like I'm wearing today, with an ID badge on it. But the person on that ID badge is way more important than me, because that ID badge that I will get will be one of those fallen heroes. It will be my job and my honor to climb the 110 flights of stairs that they didn't get to finish that day. On the 78th floor, which was the highest recorded floor that any firefighter made it to, Oriole Palmer made it there before he called in a radio transmission, and then the buildings collapsed. On the 78th floor, we stop and we honor that firefighter by calling out their name. And we let them know we're going to finish those 110 flights that they didn't get to. So you've seen it come out on the app. If you're a driver, in-house, vendor, join us. See what it's about. They're going to do it here in Springfield. If you're going to be in the area, show up and climb with us. It's not a timed event. I know saying that we're going to climb 110 flights of stairs sounds like a pretty big deal, but when you're following a firefighter that's in full gear and they don't stop, it drives you. You know why they're there. You're doing it for a bigger cause. So over the years, we also have done this as a fundraising event because the money that they raise goes to the families of fallen heroes. This year, they're going to support an organization called Supporting Heroes, and they're going to distribute that money to different organizations that help the families of any firefighters or law enforcement that have lost their lives in the line of duty. Over the past 8 years, Prime Associates, Prime drivers, our vendors who have always been a wonderful support of this, have raised almost $90,000. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, how big is that number? They hold this climb all over the United States. And I will tell you now, Prime is by far the highest number of anyone raised. And we're talking about they hold this climb in New York City. Now, you would think New York City would be a pretty easy place to raise some money for this event, right? It just takes people like you're associated with right here that are drawn to this event. Dee done it with me last year. Robert has climbed. Steve has done it multiple years. They know what it's about, and it touches you. I'm going to tell you. So even if you can't be here that day, join us virtually. There's a link on there where you can join. Find you someplace. During COVID, I had to find a ball field. I went to a ball field, counted how many steps I needed, and I climbed those stairs, and I remembered why I was doing it by looking at that ID badge. So it's an amazing event. I'll tell you, it touches me every single year. As you can tell, I almost tear up just talking about it because it's up to us to remember what those 343 people sacrificed, because it's been so long now, people have forgotten. And it's up to us to make sure we don't forget. And it's not very many people that will sacrifice themselves. There was a radio transmission that came out telling them to exit the building. Do you know how many came out? None. They stayed in. And the buildings collapsed around them. So we owe it to them, right? Does everybody agree? So if you want to be a part of the event, please go to the app, join us. Let's show these 343 that we'll carry them the rest of the way, okay? That's all I've got, Johnny.
So we really appreciate that. And, Bill comes up here and talks about it every year. And as you can tell, it is near and dear to his heart. So we appreciate all the participation that we've had in the past and moving forward.
And another thing, Prime averages out of the 343, Prime averages between 30 and 40 participants every year.
By far more than anybody else.
More than any other team that joins the climb.
So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And let's move right into honoring another group of individuals as well. Every Friday As you notice, we're wearing red. All of our vendors are in red. Our speakers are in red. So every Friday, to us, red stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. And we'd like to honor anybody that served in our armed forces. So if you've served in any branch, please stand up. Let us thank you for your service to our country. We get a lot of folks standing every week, and I love it.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to bring up Mr. Steve Wecke here, VP of Sales. Good morning, Steve.
Thank you, John. Good job, man. You get the passion that Bill has for the climb, for sure. It is quite a humbling experience, to say the very least. But, there's a lot of good causes that Prime participates in and our drivers participate in. So, whatever your passion is and whatever you want to give back to, we appreciate it. Speaking of giving back, we appreciate you all that do training for us and help us build for the future. It is so important for our growth to have our very best operators continue to train those that want to become professional operators. And speaking of that, those of you that have chosen our company, we're very grateful for that. I hope you've done your research. I hope you understand that there's no perfection here at Prime. We try to get a little bit better every day, but it's a tough business, and it's a very dangerous business. Safety is certainly what we're all about, and you got to be on your A game when you decide to get behind that wheel. You got a group of folks right here at this table. I'm not going to call them old folks, but I'm going to tell you they're very experienced. And if you want to know more about trucking, talk to them and talk about their experiences, and make sure that you are willing to commit to this profession, because it's a life-changing experience. And you got a leader back there, Dee, that's taking you new folks around, and she's been out there for years and knows what's going on as well. So it's a really great profession, but it's a challenge. So be ready. Thank you for picking Prime. You've had a lot of really great speakers this morning. Especially want to take a minute to thank Garrett Dowdy. Garrett has been with us for many years in the sales area, has actually grown several of our very largest accounts from 0 to literally $3 million in revenue a week. So Garrett does a great job. I get a lot of credit for the sales part, but man, we have a terrific team that gets out there and fights and scraps to maintain our position within the industry as far as pricing is concerned. We have, in the last 2 weeks, been named Carrier of the Year for General Mills. You can give yourself a round of applause for that. We've been named Carrier of the Year for Kellanova the same week, and once again. And I just got back from Atlanta, and we were Refrigerated Carrier of the Year for Coca-Cola. So that's a pretty nice run from you all. And listen, the competition is pretty tough, but as we continue to win these awards, we get a little bit of a target on our back. Nobody does it better than you all, but everybody wants to. So they're getting a little bit closer on the service side, it seems like, every year. Why have we been successful and been able to hold rates where they are close to flat? It's because of the service you give us. Nobody does it better. Let's never sacrifice safety. Let's keep it at the top of the list, and we can still provide the highest level of service as we become safe. So thank you all very much. I'm going to ask Daryl or Robert. Yeah, come on up here, Robert. The guy that started our company a few years ago, quite a few years ago. He's moving a little slow this morning. We had him out late up in Pennsylvania. Yeah, so thank you and appreciate you.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning. Good morning, folks. Especially our new folks here. I want to welcome you. You made a good choice. I hope you can tell from the content of these meetings and what you've heard from these speakers that there's a lot of passion here for our team. You use words like team and family to describe our culture. Culture is really important. Culture is really important. And we're the kind of company that truly cares about our associates. A lot of people give that lip service, but if you would, just look at the tangible things that are readily apparent. Look at our facilities. Think about how you're treated here. You know, that's of the utmost importance to me, to us, to our team, is to make that meaningful and make it, most importantly, the truth, and not just lip service, but the truth. So we spent a lot of time on that. Spent a lot of time talking about the importance of safety, because, I mean, your bodies and the lives of those that we share the nation's highways with are important. You know, they've got babies they love, and they've got parents that love them. And, you know, we don't want to hurt anybody out there. It's really, really important to us. And again, it's consistent with our culture about how we treat people and how we roll. You know, again, you've made a good decision coming here. I thank you for being here. All our seasoned drivers, our experienced, I'm not gonna say that word. You know, when somebody starts talking about old, you know, I say, easy now, you know, let's back up that a little bit. Let's say seasoned and experienced. We owe you a debt of gratitude for what you do. I mean, fantastic. You know, a few things in my life I'm proud of, some maybe not so proud of, but let's just talk about the gifts. I'm proud of my association with you all. You're a heck of a family. You're a heck of a team. I'm proud of you. God bless each of you. Please be safe out there.